Oliver was again in the fantastic realm. Things were different here. Oliver sought help. He knew it would take a long time on the ground. Oliver was familiar enough with many places in the fantastic realm. However, as a mouse, he knew there were faster ways to get where he needed to go. It was in this little peninsula that he remembered seeing in the past, a place that Arthur himself had recommended. The accommodations were wonderful. Oliver knew the birds of the air, for a price, were often willing to help. Oliver was familiar with an old hawk named Quid. He saw him flying about. He made a motion for him to come down. They agreed to terms, and Quid would be his escort, at least to the waterfall. It was the waterfall at Cannes, the one that Alfred had recommended to be the starting point to get to the inner circle of this point of the enchanted land. But first, Quid had warned Oliver that they must get beyond the slippery rocks just ahead, and Quid was getting hungry. So Oliver was preparing to perhaps take a swim. As a field mouse, it didn't bother him to get a bit wet. However, he would much rather stay dry. It was in this fantastic realm that Oliver found things were always just a bit different. While Quid had a bit of lunch, Oliver found the safe spot right beside this little creek and stayed dry. Suddenly, Oliver was startled. A toad jumped out of nowhere, and a loud voice told Oliver he should not go to the falls at Cannes. There is danger.
You should warn your friend Quid. There's danger where he's taking you. Now, I've given you fair warning. You seem like a fair mouse.
The toad's warning somewhat shook up Oliver. He knew he should possibly warn Quid, but he did so badly want to get to the falls. Oliver found Quid and told him that he would go the rest of the way alone, and thanked him for his time. It was such a beautiful land, and Oliver could not understand why the toad said there could be danger. Everything seemed so lovely. It was then that Oliver spotted a very large creature. He was trying to speak. I I, yes, I shall help, and I will. I, what language does this mouse speak? I can help. I will help you. And the creature's name was Edward, and he and Oliver decided to go on foot. He took Oliver to a village nearby. Edward was not fond of the humans, for he caused them to be afraid. So they walked near but around the village until the next vantage point. Edward had taken Oliver near the river. They were getting deeper into the jungle-like terrain was beginning to get thick. And Edward was happy to see the water. His advice to Oliver was to not go too far from the water, especially in land he did not know. Edward was a good field guide, although Oliver was happy to have Tiger in the past. He chose this time to go alone. He was very fortunate to find Edward, that was for sure. As the grasslands was his domain, he was very strong, and Oliver would ride on his back, and they would traverse many, many miles and cover all sorts of ground in the fantastic realm. Edward was sensing that they were being watched, and he told Oliver to look around, and he would go close to the rocks near the stream. Edward was cautious, looking up and about and in all directions very carefully.
Who are these intruders? You should not be here. Don't listen to me, of course. There's danger the way you're heading. Even for you, big boy. Danger, I tell you. Danger.
Edward had told Oliver that he thought he heard the sound of the falls, perhaps the one he was seeking in Caen. They did sound as if they were near, but there also was danger, warnings about.
Lucille, there's danger! We must go and follow the lion and the mouse. No one else will help them. There's danger! Now, let's go!
And so Edward and Oliver continued along their way, but unbeknownst to them, the falcon had noticed and heard the cries for help and gathered the forces that they could. Even the smallest creatures of the ground were trembling. It wasn't clear what sort of danger that was spoken of, but obviously something was amiss. Even the tiniest of creatures were gathering to help Oliver and Edward before they had gone too far. But Oliver and Edward were determined to get to the falls at Caen. Edward had taken Oliver to this little spot and the small falls ahead, as the land was full of all sorts of terrain and variations. It seemed to be getting more mountainous as Edward kept guiding Oliver on the way. In the fantastic realm, directions are a bit different than they are in the here and now. It was the guidance of Edward that Oliver would depend on until he could find some place to either stop, go back, or turn around. And Oliver was not going to quit. Edward had stopped as he was getting a bit tired, and it was there that Oliver had met a small creature much closer to his own size. As he observed him, he stopped.
Go away! There's danger! Danger! You must go! Everyone is leaving! Can't you see? There's danger! There's no time to go to the falls at Corn or anywhere! We must run! We must hurry! But first let me eat! You must go back to the land of the here and now! You must go quickly! There's no need for you to suffer! Well, neither should I. There's plenty of nuts. I really hate to go, but I see everyone's about. Even the ants are running. There must be something. But let me get just one more. Yes, yes. Your name is Oliver. Yes. You should go. Go back where you came from, you should. I say you go.
Oliver was happy and thankful for all the help he had. Oliver was very thankful for Edward, the proud creature who knew the terrain of this enchanted world. This world that was so much different than the here and now. And Oliver wondered what sort of life Edward lived here in this land. But whatever he did, he was willing to help, and now there was danger. And Edward was fully aware. He could tell by the swaying of the trees. He could tell with senses that only perhaps he possessed, that there was indeed danger. Perhaps something from the earth itself. That all the creatures were stirring, the large and the small. And Oliver was determined to get to the falls at Cannes. And then he would be at the central point of the enchanted realm, the fantastic realm, the one he goes to get away from the here and now. And Oliver was not going to quit. Be sure to listen and watch for the next episode of Oliver and his quest inside the fantastic realm. Thanks for watching. The next episode will be out very soon.